All right. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. My name is Tawana Rivers. This is the 10K Project. And I know y'all didn't forget who we were because we took the summer off. But we are back and we are coming out the gate strong for the fall season. We have with us one of our founding members, Miss Monique Lisa, who is here to talk about AI and how to write. She is an amazing filmmaker and author. I'm going to let her tell you all of those wonderful accolades about herself. But just know we are sitting with the real deal today. And she is going to tell us how important it is to tell our stories. And then she's going to give us the tools on how to do that. So, Monique, thank you for coming and hanging out with us. We haven't seen you in a while. That
I
means
know.
you've been in the lab cooking up something good.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. First of all, Tawana and Talisha, thank you so much for having me. It feels great to be able to, I feel like, say, come home. The 10K project, when we first started talking about it, I was super excited about it. And now to be here to share what I do with the 10K project group, the Facebook group, and all of these elite, amazing people that are part of the foundation as well as part of the group. So I'm here talking about Author AI Accelerator, and I'm going to share my screen so that I can show you ladies what I've been up to. Let me
Very
share it
good.
quick. Awesome. So I'm going to, let's minimize this really quick. Okay, just let me know when you can see my screen and we can go from there.
We see it. Okay, it's on the countdown.
Good. Okay. Yes. So I just want to welcome everyone again. And this presentation is called Author AI Accelerator. And it's my opportunity to tell you about all of the amazing things that are happening with the AI revolution, writing revolution. It is here. So get ready, strap yourself in. My name is Monique Lisa, and I'm a writer, director, and producer of stage, film, and books. I was saying that I was a 45-time nominated playwright and writer, but now I'm a 46-time nominated playwright and a 26, I used to say, now 27. I've just got nominated for the 100 Global Women Icon Award, and I'll be receiving that in 2 weeks in DC at the Watergate Hotel. So here are some of the books that I have worked on. And the one thing I'm proud of with working on these books is that I was able to take the author from the first word to the last word. And with these books that have just come out as well, it was the same situation. But what I realized is that over 4.5 years ago, I started training my Chat GPT and actually created, and I'm the founder of Chat Author GPT. And I found that if you train your AI and if you are trained on how to write a book, you never have to worry about writer's block and you never have to worry about feeling stuck like you can't move any further. These are some of the children's books that I've worked on, and I have authors that have written, I want to say, anywhere from 4 to 5 books. One person has written 7 books with me. One person has written 18 books with me. And so I've been on this journey for a while. I've got almost over 100 authors that I've worked with, and I've coached over 3,000 writers. So, what is the author's dilemma? We're going to talk about that. So, part of it is when you feel like you're just staring at a blank page for hours. You don't know where to start. You don't know what to do. You're just thinking to yourself, what is next? I have on the comfortable clothes. I have good lighting. I have the time. I've prepared myself to be able to write this book. Why am I stuck? Why is it taking me months just to finish a single page, let alone a book? And what is this overwhelming feeling that I have? And a lot of times people don't realize it's because they need something extra. So with the AI writing revolution, you're going to be able to write your book 10 times faster, like literally 10 times faster. You're going to be feeding and training, and you're going to be inputting the information that it needs, not just throwing up a prompt. Please, a lot of people just throw up prompts and they don't realize that if you do not train your AI and if you do not know how to train ChatGPT, Claude, Otter, any of those writing platforms. If you don't train it, it will not learn your tone. It will not learn your voice. It will not understand who you are. It won't know how to direct you in the right way to find your audience. And having your AI tool and knowing how to use it is having your own personal writing coach. So that's something that's very, very important. So, would writing your book and turning your dream of being a writer into a reality, what would that do for you? We've already talked about really quick how it would help you and you would move 10 times faster, any genre, any story, and professional quality. But what would that mean to you? Like, think about that. Really sit back and say, if I had a book in hand, if I were invited to speak, guess what? I could actually sell my book at the end. If I were invited to do some kind of special program, I would actually have something tangible to sell. And I'll actually talk about towards the end how you can turn a book into a course, into a speech, into so many other things. So let's talk about the 12 benefits of using AI correctly. All right, benefit number one, you can figure out what are the perfect prompts for you every time. What is the right prompt that's going to get you the information and the feedback that you're looking for? So when I guess you have to look at it as mastering the art of AI communication. You have to look at it like, I'm going to spend enough time with this software, with this idea of getting this help from AI so that it knows and understands me. And it won't be that trial and error that people, deal with. So what are the benefits of it? Any genre, any story. You got to keep saying that. I'm not stuck with just one thing: romance, thriller, fantasy, sci fi, self help, business, autobiography, which is one of the biggest requests that I get, writing your own personal story. There are people who are stuck in their head and they're like, oh, no one would want to hear my story. No one cares. But if there's something specific that you're passionate about, you can wrap your story around that passion and give someone something tangible where they can say, you know what? I understood what you were talking about because you use live case studies and you told me your story in a way that I could mirror and marry the two. So thank you for that. So with an AI coaching situation helping you, you're going to be able to adapt to any story, any genre, and you don't feel stuck. Benefit number three, endless creative ideas. There's no way around the idea of saying, I'm not limited. I'm no longer in a box. If you've ever been in a box, it's suffocating. If you've ever been in a box, it's like, wait a minute, what am I doing in here? When you're young and you have those big boxes at Christmas time, if you have the type of parent that was just overindulgent, and then kids used to play in the box. But when
Yeah.
we're writing, right? When we're writing, we don't want to feel like we're in a box. We want to feel free. We want to have unlimited plot twists. We want to have unlimited character development, unlimited story arcs. We want to feel like these words, we can marry these words to the idea or the concept of a story that we're writing. Benefit number four, you have professional quality prose. You're transforming rough ideas into polished, engaging ideas, and you're maintaining your own unique voice. Even twins have something slightly different about their voice, something slightly different about how they approach a story, how they approach their own story. So don't think that because you have something that looks like one thing and something that looks like something else, even twins have different fingerprints. So you'll find your own place. You'll have your own unique professional standard. So, benefit number five, lightning fast drafts. How do you feel about that? Complete first drafts in days, not months. Like, literally, I know people that have told me that they've been waiting to write a book for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Is that you? Is that you? You've been sitting on it. You've got it written on napkins, on the back of notebooks, in notebooks. You have it written on your arm. You have notes all over that it's supposed to be your book, but it's just everywhere. And when you bring it all together, you literally can start writing your book today and have a book done. I have 5 authors who decided that they wanted to try me in my beta class. I did a beta class for one of the courses that I was doing with my AI, and within 48 hours, 3 had their book done and the other two had theirs done in 72 hours. How do you feel about that? Just knowing your first draft does not have to live in your notebook, on that napkin, on the back of that cardboard box. When you're driving, you write on the back of receipts because you have all these ideas. But what about that? How do you feel about that? How do you feel like, wow, I can actually have a book in 3 to 14 days and it's a real book? It's not written by ChatGPT. You've been assisted by ChatGPT, and that's not the only writing platform that we have. So no more struggling with those blank pages. Benefit number 6, rich character development. So now that you're creating multi-dimensional characters and compelling backstories, and you understand how to write in 2D, in 3D, in 5D, you understand that you have to really round out these characters. If it's autobiographical, you still have to round out your own story. If it's self-help, you want to make sure that the case studies are case studies that are going to resonate with the audience that you're trying to reach. So you want to generate these authentic dialogues, and you want to make sure that there's a nice even flow, and you want to pull people in. You want to engage them. Benefit number 7, world building mastery, building immersive worlds. If you've ever seen Radio Player One, if you've ever seen Lord of the Rings, if you've ever seen any of the Harry Potter stories, you know that these immersive worlds, they're not real in terms of where we live, but they're real when we got, like, we're really pulled into these stories. And there's a few of them. I think that there's one particular story that my nephew was really starting to get into, Hunger Games. He was so caught up, and it was an immersive world. It was something that he could take a deep dive into, and it really reunited and reignited his love for reading. So you want to have rich detail, you want to be consistent, but you want people to really take a deep dive into the story that you're writing. If you are one of my fiction people or nonfiction people, you still want to make sure that you draw people in with the right story. So that's the benefit of number 7. Let's talk about benefit number 8, instant feedback. If you're working with me, I'm going to be able to instantly give you feedback. And how do I do that? Well, you send me what you have. We go through it together, and I can tell you how we can revise it, how we can look at the plot holes, the pacing, the structure. That book in your heart is going to come to fruition if you have the right tools, the right coaching, and just the ideas of what that story should look like. So 24/7, you get help. How? Because your AI is trained, and you have access to me through sending me your information. And I have my other writing coaches that I work with, and we can easily get it. Why? Because you are getting the help that you need 24/7 from your trained AI, and then you're also getting feedback from us. So that's another benefit. Let's talk about benefit number 8. 9, I said 8 already. Multiple revenue streams. So while writing books is the first part, you can also start to create courses. You can start to create blogs. People talk about blogging. There was a time where it was the hottest thing, but you know what? People still read blogs. They still want to know different, they want to know different information about different things. They don't want to feel like they're stuck. So if you're blogging, you're helping them to find out more about things that they may not have thought about, and give them more insight. So blogging to me is like Pinterest is Facebook to Instagram. So when you blog, it's like you're putting something up there for people to look at. So that's the Pinterest part of it. And then Instagram is, that's a platform where people are always sharing stories. So you want to connect your ideas through using your AI, and you want it to be something that people can go back to. So blogging, you can do that with your AI. You can write 30 blogs in a day, and you can put them out there and tell people that you have an expertise that they should know about. And you can write scripts. Hollywood is talking about ditching actors and using AI. You still have to have that human element. Before there was AI, there was OI, organic intelligence. You can't ditch your organic intelligence. Stories come from you, ideas come from you, the information is coming from you. So never ever think that it's replacing you, but just know that you can use it to enhance what you're doing. Turn your AI skills into a profitable writing business. You can help people with their bios. You can help people with all kinds of things. You're not limited. Benefit number 10, research assistant. Now, there are many tools that can help you. Google's not the only thing out there. You heard me? Google, the only thing out there. Some people, they Google, but there are many platforms that can help you to do the research that you need. There are specific types of books that you write that you need to cite the sources. And when you're citing the source, you want to make sure that you have a research assistant that will help you. When was this article that you put in your book written? Where was the university? Who are the professors or the people involved with that information? So you just want to make sure that you can also use your AI, ChatGPT, Claude, and many others to help you with that research. And once you have that research and once you start to cite your sources, this is now your companion, your assistant. So you can get instant research for any topic, time period, and fact check it, fact check it, fact check it. Did I say fact check it? Yes, I did. You cannot just throw anything out there. And that is why a lot of people's books have been rejected on Amazon and other platforms because they just threw something in, threw it together, threw it up there. And what happened? They used a certain software that I use to see how much of it was AI and how much actually generated from you. You have to train your AI in order for it to help you. And it is not a difficult thing. It's something I can teach you in a weekend. So, benefit number 10, research assistant. Let's jump to benefit number 11, market analysis, understanding what readers want in your genre. So, if people understand what genre that you are writing about and they understand it, AI can also help you to find those same people. Who's reading fiction? Who's reading nonfiction? Who's reading self help books, business self help, professional self help, personal self help? Who's reading that? There can be research done through your AI, through your chat GPT, through other platforms to help you so that now you're getting accurate information. All of the information that's out there is not completely vetted. Who's responsible for vetting that? You've got to do the research. So if you train it correctly, if you train that correctly, you will also be able to, guess what? Have a market analysis assistant. You see, I like to say the word assistant. Kind of rolls off my tongue like that. I love that. Assistant, someone to help you. There are many people that are going on this book journey and they have no one to help them. They don't have a writing coach. They don't have any kind of assistance. And there's nothing wrong with being old school. Listen, I am a advocate. I'm an advocate for notebooks and pens. When I walk into Staples, they're like, here she come. Oh Lord, here she come. She's this lady that loves notebooks, loves pens. I love it. But I know after I've written and I've poured out my heart and I've purged that story, I have 12 scripts I'm working on right now for different platforms, streaming platforms. I have 12 scripts. After you've done that, you just want to make sure that you are reaching the audience that you say you want to reach. If you're writing romance, but you keep checking out things that have to do with sci-fi, you either have to marry that so that you can put that together, or you have to find people who read romance. You can throw your little twist of sci-fi in there, but you have to know what your audience that you say you want to reach wants. So benefit number 11, market analysis. And let's talk about number 12. Woo! Completing a published book and having the support, like your book description, your marketing copy, everything that you need, your lead magnets when you want to bring in new people and build up an email. You want to have the right lead magnet. And that's exactly one of the things that you can do with your ChatGPT and your AI assistant. So let's take a little stroll. I want you to take a stroll with me. So I imagine myself at the age of 7, and I think back to this. So at 7 years old, I woke up one Saturday morning and I decided that I wanted to just really quickly get ready to go watch cartoons. I got up and something caught my eye. I looked over to my right and there was a book on the dresser. Who put this book there? I don't know. I'm 7 years old. I see a book this thick sitting on my dresser and I don't know how it got there. And so what do? I go over, I pick the book up, I turn it over, I look at the title. I'm a good reader at age of 7, and it said 101 Dalmatians. I don't know who put that book there, but what I do know is that the artwork was so fascinating to me. The cover with all of these dogs, these white dogs with black spots, it drew me in. And when it drew me in, I decided to forfeit my Saturday morning cartoons and my big bowl of cereal and hanging out with my sisters and just being in our den to sit down and read this thick book. Almost 6.5 hours later, I had finished the entire book called 101 Dalmatians. It was on that day that I fell in love with words. It was that day that I fell in love with the idea of writing a book, writing a stage play, writing a film script at the age of 7. I am still doing this at this age. I've been doing it for a amount of years. You understand what I'm saying? So when you have words that come together and help you to understand that you can tell a story. That's what happened to me at age 7. So, for everyone out there that has a book lodged in them, something sparked something on the inside of you to want to write a book, don't let that dream die. Don't let the idea of feeling confused and not knowing where to start take away the dream of writing. At the age of 7, I decided from reading someone else's book that I wanted to become a writer. And writing a book doesn't mean that you have to become a writer. It just means that you have something so succinct and so salient and so good and so strong and so powerful, so imaginative. There's something that you want to write that you're willing to take a chance and write a book. So, for anyone that is interested in how they can fold back time and write a book, it can be autobiographical, a book about yourself. It can be a biography, a book about someone else. It can be a self-help book. You can be in the medical field. You can be in a nurse, which is still medical field. You can be a pediatrician, veterinarian, whatever. You can write a book about anything that you feel will educate people, entertain people, engage people into a story. So don't think that it just has to be your life story. You can write a book about anything. There's a project that I'm working on. Back in 2007, I decided to write 5 comic books. And I wanted to write it about some supernatural characters, and I wanted it to be something that would be entertaining for adults as well as children. And so I took that idea, I wrote those 5 comic books, and I was looking for, at the time, someone to illustrate it. I found someone who was able to give me the first copy of the first book of the series. And then something happened. This person wasn't able to finish the rest of the books because they had a family situation. Using AI, I was able to create the characters. After all that time, I was able to create those characters using AI as well and to re-resurrect those comic books. And so, if I'm able to, if you give me the chance to teach you the power of bringing stories back to life, bringing those dreams to fruition and make it a reality, I will show you how to take your ideas and turn it to a book, into a script, into a screenplay, into a speech that you can actually use to do a keynote or speak at a college or speak at a conference or speak somewhere where you're able to talk to and resonate with the people who were there. I would love to have the opportunity to do that. I want to go to, so let's do a little recap. So, Author AI Accelerator, which I created, and I created it this year because I really wanted to help people to fast track the whole idea of having a book. So you can transform those writing dreams into reality with AI, and you can write your book 10 times faster and have a professional story of professional quality. You heard I said professional quality. Most of the authors that I've worked with, they have books that people are still coming back and bragging about the fact that they were able to do that. So is that you? Is there a book in your heart? So, how do you join Author AI Accelerator so that you can stop struggling with the traditional methods of writing and start writing 10 times faster? Well, I'm glad you asked that. So, in order for me to help you to transform your dream to become a published author, we got to have a conversation. So in that, I'm gonna stop it right there because I just want to see if there's any questions because I got these 2 amazing women that are with me, including the live. The live is on, correct? Are we live or are we?
You
Okay,
are
awesome,
live.
awesome, awesome, awesome. So I know that. Do you have any questions for me? Because I know that I've shared a lot of information. But I do want people who are struggling, even if you have a devotional that you want to do, even if you want to do something where it's a journal, I can help you to get that desire and that dream um, into fruition so it can actually happen. So I have
Awesome.
any questions for me?
I'll start and ask a couple. You talked about the fact that AI is really an assistant, right? it's not doing the writing, it's truly assisting you through the process. Because one of the questions I always had was, what are the copyright issues that can, that are prevalent in a situation when you are using AI to help you through this process? Or are there any?
Perfect. Absolutely. So let's start with this. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that I can, and I'm gonna. Okay, let's see. I don't have to be on two screens. I just did that just because just being extra. So the best way to answer that question is when you write a story. If you're looking for AI to write a story, that's going to be difficult because remember, it's a regurgitative technology. And because it's a regurgitative technology, it's pulling from what's out there. But if you are the one writing the story, there's software that I put all books through to tell me in percentages how much of this is AI. If I can get you between 3 and 7%, you're good. It's your story. Now, if you're at 70%, how much of it did you feed? How much did you train? How much did you actually put yourself into? And I know that there are people who are just excited. They just want to throw anything out there. I mean, Amazon just started left and right rejecting books because people were just throwing stuff together. Now, if it's a self help book and you're just reorganizing information and then you're putting it out there, you're just helping people to not have to do the research. But if this is a book about it's an autobiography, if this is a biography, if this is something that's supposed to be nonfiction, if this is information that's going to help people, but you have you have the research in there but you have no real case studies, there's going to be a problem. So yes, I say train it. Doesn't take long. Train it for your voice, your tone, and knowing how to do that helps you. So anybody facing any difficulty, they didn't actually do the work. They just kind of threw something in there and whatever it spat out, they took it and said that's my book. We can't do that.
Very good. And I also love that you've taken away one of the barriers. I often hear people who have a book in them, right? They are already thinking about the publishing problems, right? So even before they take the time and write the first word, they're already anticipating, but there's no way I can get this published. I don't even know what to do. And so they don't even write the book to get to that problem, to have it be a real
Right.
problem. But I
Right.
love that you are assisting with that. So going into your program, people know they literally have your help from the first word to
Right.
publish. And that's
All the way.
beautiful. I love that.
All the way. And the great thing about it is that let's say I'm an advocate for self-publishing. The reason why I'm an advocate for self-publishing is because you have to do 100% of the work anyway. If
Mm,
you are with if you're self-published, if you're with a small publisher, if you're with a traditional publisher, you still have to do 90% of the work. If you're doing 90% of the work, if you're with a traditional or a small publishing house, but you're doing 100% of the work, why wouldn't you want 100% of the pay? People put books on Amazon that are just sitting there. If you're not paying ads for Amazon, your book is just sitting there. They're not pointing your book to anyone. So now, what's the difference between you doing an ad on Amazon or an ad on Facebook or any other platform? My thing is this: if you have the perfect situation where you put a book out there, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Rich Dad Poor Dad was out for 2 years before Oprah got wind of it, and then it exploded. But he put it out there. Had he not written the book, he would not have had the opportunity to be found. I have a
mm,
good friend of mine who I have coached through some writing processes that wrote his book. He used to be a hostage negotiator. And so
mm,
when he wrote his book, someone found his book in a store. It was on consignment. They found it, and now he has a traditional publishing deal. So if you don't write the book, people can't find it. And if they can't find it, they're not going to offer you a deal. It takes anywhere from 2 to 3 years to even get through to a traditional publishing house because they don't take non solicited books. So when people are like, oh, I'm going to write this book and I'm going to wait to get this publisher and I'm going to get this literary agent, that means you're spending money to do something that may not happen until people actually say, you've got something viable. You've got
right.
something real. You've got something I want. I have a client who she just finished her seventh book with me. Her last book, the seventh book, we wrote it in 2 days. Every other book took anywhere from a month to a year. Why? Because we did it the traditional way. And what I did, I said, now we're going to put it through the filter. We put it through the filter. She was at 3% AI. At 3%. Why? Because I made her do the work. I said the concept has to come from you, the ideas have to come from you, the characters have to come from you, the research has to come from your work. So people who don't want to do the work, that's different. But people who understand this is my book. The only help that I'm getting is to make sure that I'm structured properly, to make sure that if I am stuck, what we call writer's block, if I am stuck, I have assistance. If I have assistance, guess what? I'm getting over that hump and now I'm going to the next thing.
Mm,
So that's why I'm excited. People don't know. I have a client. She's 70. She'll be 76 years old. And she just finished her second book with me. Her first book took us 6 months. We did it traditional way. We just had our time. And then her second book took 48 hours. She cried. She was my keynote speaker on Saturday for our Networking Women's thing. She cried. She was like, I cannot believe I did this. And I said, you did. Why? Because you were making notes. That's what I said. Pull it all together. Get that box of notes, get all that stuff together and let's piece this together. It is a puzzle. And sometimes puzzles are confusing. That's like someone giving you a puzzle that's white. It's just white and there's 1,000 pieces. You're going to be there forever because everything just looks the same. It's just ideas. But when you start to put characters on it, you start to piece it together, that puzzle doesn't seem so confusing because now you can see the arm, you can see the shoulder, you can see the leg, you can see the hip. It starts to come together. So that's why I am excited about it. And I love doing this. I absolutely love doing this because now we folded back time. Folding back time
mm,
means September 1st, you may not have been an author but had ideas. September 30th or September 14th or
right.
September
Right.
3rd, you have something tangible that you can now run with. So that's
Yeah.
what I love doing this. So it is Author AI Accelerator, folding back time, getting those stories out. And I just want to say, especially as people of color, we do not want someone else writing our history. We do not want someone else telling our story. You see what they did. Growing up for me, Malcolm X was bad, Dr. Martin Luther King was good, and that was Black history. No, that they both have such rich backgrounds and they both had different lanes for the same cause.
Yeah.
So why is it that we allow other people to tell our story?
Yeah.
If you have amazing characters, why give it to someone else? No, do it yourself. And some people say, I don't have time.
Well, you just fix that problem. You solved that problem for him.
Yes, but when people say they can't find time, I ask the question, can you get up a half hour earlier because you desire to write a book? So if you get up a half hour earlier for 7 days, how much time have you just found? Right?
Yeah.
It's
If
also
you
that
go to
time
bed,
concept too,
right,
right?
right.
I think it's again with putting that the puzzle pieces together is a really good analogy. You
Hmm.
don't want to do the filtering, like I call it the box top. You don't have the box top, you have all the pieces, but you don't know what you're building. You don't know what to build, right? You just know that these are my end pieces, these are the middle pieces, that kind of thing. If you
Exactly.
had direction, if you knew where you were going, you'd be more inclined to do the task because you know what to do
Exactly.
rather than struggle through. I think so. Some of it is not having the time, it's not knowing what to do. And then you waste the time sitting there looking at this page and say, I don't know how to put these together. I don't know where to go from here. And I do think that that's where AI can help you synergize and synthesize
Mhm.
and say, okay, this is the concept. These are
Mhm.
the possibilities of the places that you could go with this story. And maybe you don't even know that you could go to that length. And I think that's where that assistant part comes in. It
Absolutely.
even elaborates on your own creativity.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I
And
also love though, Monique, that you're in the mix, right? So you're part of this team. You're the lead of this team because the other thing that comes into play is that self-doubt, right? Can I do the forget AI? Yeah, it may help me, but can I do my part? Like, am I smart enough? Am I creative enough? Is anybody going to care about my story, right? Or is it going to be boring? Or is it going to be too much exposure,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
Right? Am I
mhm.
going to tell too much of my business, right? And so I think to have then the human component of you as
Right,
the head of this team, I
right.
think that truly becomes the icing on the cake, right? Somebody else may say that the AI is the icing on the cake. I don't think so. I think you are the magic in that sauce, right? Because you pull it all together, you motivate, and do all of that stuff along the way. And so to have this truly this full team
Right,
behind you, if you join this accelerator, is an amazing thing.
right, right. And this it's
Yeah,
so
right.
true. It's so true. And both of you made some great points. Can you imagine if you set up a table where you're going to do a puzzle, and on the table you have like this board just to make sure everything is good, and then someone takes the cover of the puzzle piece, takes the cover of the box, and walk away with it? You're like, what's next? That's
Mhm.
what it feels like when you don't have the help that you need. And you made a good point, Tawana, where you said that, like, who would want to hear my story? Who, some people have that at the back of their mind. First of all, when you have that self doubt, that's your biggest obstacle. That's your biggest obstacle. If you write for no one else, write for your children. If you write for no one else, because what's going to happen is, if you're not here, you can tell your grandchildren who you were in your own words. And so I think that's the most important thing. If you wrote this story and you had one copy, and that copy can be passed around the family, and you're here to sign it and say, this is who I am, that's legacy. That's legacy. It's not about just selling a book and have a million copies out there. This is about, I want to piece together who I am. I want to piece together who these characters are that I've created from my imagination. I want to piece together something that I can talk about in terms of, like me, I'm writing a story about my grandmother. I'm writing a story about my grandmother, 50 years in hip hop, all of these different things that come from my childhood, because my inspiration came from someone else's creativity, which was to write 101 Dalmatians. So I was inspired. And I had a client, her book is called A DJ Saved My Life. And she talked about the grieving process and how music was the catalyst for helping her to get through the grieving process. And so she said the same thing. She was like, who would want to read my story? I said, your responsibility, in order for us to know who your mother was, is to write her story through your story, through this book. And she cried. She was like, I can't believe it. And now she's doing podcasts. She's traveling all over, and she has her t-shirt. She was celebrating because she had her merch and her little flyers. And I said to her, I said, I know who your mom is, and her memory will live on in me because of what you did through your book. And she was just ecstatic. And so it maybe your story is not for the world. Maybe it's just your gift to your family, your relatives. Why not?
Story is supposed to exist. That's the purpose, right? It's not to be read, it's to exist. That's what stories are. And Toni Morrison said that, like, sometimes if you didn't find something, it was your impetus to write it because it needed to exist. And
Exactly.
that's really, our stories are very powerful. And again, the narratives that we leave behind now that we have it. And I think specifically with your AI accelerator, it is like, AI isn't the tool. It's just like the magic pen, so to speak. Some
Right.
people like to use a very, ballpoint pens, or some people use typewriters. It's just the mechanism to get the story. You are the storyteller.
That's
And that is your job. And whatever mechanism and tool that you want to use is great. But to have all of these resources at your ability, now your story can come to fruition much more quickly than it could ever. And there are really, there's no barriers unless you create them at this point.
exactly, exactly. We're removing the I have writer's block. We're removing the I don't know where to go after this idea. We're removing the, well, how do I develop this character? We're removing all of that. And when we remove those things, now the real you story, the real what's inside of you, that story can come out. And so if you look for an excuse, you'll find it. But if you look for answers, you'll get a solution. It really does work that way. It really does. So,
I love that. Do we have any questions in the Facebook Live?
There's a lot of people watching, so I think they're
Hey,
just
y'all.
technology is a little flaky, but I got you to work.
I did want to share that I am Dr. George's official biographer, Dr. George C. Frazier, his official biographer. So he bombarded me with information. Now I'm like, okay, here we go. I'm up for the challenge. And so many people, so many great people out there who are realizing that they have to be responsible for telling their own story and not rely on someone else. If you've ever, have either of you ladies heard of Memoir of a Geisha?
Yes.
Wonderful.
You know the story behind Memoirs of a Geisha?
Yes.
No, I don't know that I know the story behind it.
Okay, so Talisha said yes.
Yes.
So,
It's amazing.
so it's a true story. And the next door neighbor, the person who was able to capture the story for the woman who it was her life story, she made him promise that he would not tell the story until she was no longer with us. And he did an excellent job of bringing forth this story, but she told it. And it's like some people don't realize that their story is someone else's rescue.
Mm.
They don't know that inspiration. Like, here it is, over 40 plus years for me, one book helped me with my calling. Just
Right.
one book. 101 Dalmatians, age of 7. At the age of 7, what are you in second grade? What did I know? But that book caused me to write my first stage play at the age of 7.
Wow.
Words are powerful. They can do all kinds of things. Let's use them for good. Let's use them for good.
That part. I love it. So how do we join the accelerator? Tell us all the deets.
I'm glad you asked. If you are a part of the 10K project, founding member or new since the founding of it, there are links that will be shared with you. What I'm doing only for the 10K project, and that was the last slide that I was going to show. If you want to do a digital book, this is a book that you're not doing any printing, but you are selling it, whether it be on your own platform, whether you decide to go with Amazon or any other platform, a digital product through the 10K project, that's 1997. So that is something that you would do virtually, unless you live in Georgia. If you live in Georgia, I have an amazing suite. I'm actually in one of my suites now, that I will sit down with you and go over the process. I do it group style because once I give you an assignment, you're ready to go. You've got your marching orders. So I love to work with groups of 10 to 15 people. The most people I've ever had at one time on Zoom writing together was 25 people. And it was amazing. We were doing poetry. And so you can get in contact with, I can share my information. You ladies have my information, correct? You have
Mhm.
my information, the
Yeah.
info at, okay, so you can email me a little bit of the concept behind your book, or you can actually use the links if you want to sign up. So it's 1997 if you want to do a digital product, and it's 29.97 if you want to do a physical book. The physical books, you also get copies. I gift you copies of your book so that you can hold it up and say, look, this is your mama I made it moment. I have and then I take it even further. I have Author AI Accelerator launch. So launch means I show you how to make $5,000 from your first book.
Okay.
I go from 5,000 up to 1 million. It's a formula.
Wait a minute. Okay, but we're gonna put the pin right there for a minute. So
Yes,
not only are you helping us write it, right?
absolutely.
Giving us all the tools to be successful writing it. Then you're helping us with self-publishing. Now
Yes,
you're going to help us be able to sell it,
yes.
right? In a way that's going to, once we sell it, to make at least 5,000, we've actually paid for the course itself
There
and
you
then
go.
some.
There you go. There you
And then
go.
you lit a fire up underneath us, and then there's probably 10 more books that we'll write after that, right? Because I would imagine it's
Absolutely.
some Pandora's box. Once that imagination starts, the floodgates are opened.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the
Okay.
reason why I'm sharing this
I'm
with you,
paying attention. I hope y'all are.
the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because I have taken the time and to meticulously go through the steps that it actually takes to sell. Most self-published authors, that means that if you have a book, they don't sell more than 1,000 to 5,000 copies, 5,000 on the high end, 1,000 on the low end. Most self-published authors don't sell more than 200 books. And the reason why is because after the excitement of writing a book, they don't know how to promote the book. They don't know how to market the book. They don't know how to bring awareness. They don't know how to find the audience that this type of book would resonate with. So I'm really pulling back the layers on that and really helping you and showing you. I do live launches. I do live live. It's almost like if you remember the Lou Rawls telethon, where you kind of you bring everybody together, and this is what we're going to do, and we rally the people together. We talk about the book, we do the interviews. I really pull it together. So I start with Author AI Accelerator to write the book, and then we go into the publishing part, and then we go into the launch part, and then we go into 10xing sales. And the reason why we do that is because there are people who will not just support you, but enjoy the content that you actually wrote in that book. So there's tiers and layers to this, but I start you off with that.
I love that. I mean, many of you know that over the summer, I helped put together a book signing for Tamika Mallory, who wrote an amazing book. If you guys know who Tamika is, one of the, in my opinion, the today's people's activists, right? We the Martins and Malcolms and all of that. But when I talk about somebody who today is in on the front line fighting for us with every word that she says, that's who Tamika is to me. And I had the benefit of being a part of an amazing team that helped put together an event for her for a book signing. And just the work that went into one event, I was like, good Lord. You know, and there was a team of people helping one event. To know that she had to do that, 20, 30 times to
Yes.
really get the word out about the book. We only helped her with one event. The fact that you're layering in all of that is, I mean, again, huge, right? When you're talking about the value that you're bringing to this accelerator, I want people to really understand these are not things that are easy for you to just take on by yourself. I mean, you
No.
really are. Monique has created this, like you've created a team of 20 and it's still just you, right? But you're putting all the work and effort in as if there is a huge team behind you
Right.
helping with this, which I think is absolutely wonderful.
Yes. And the one thing I want to add to that is that books sell for two reasons. There's a cause or a celebrity behind a book. And the cause is just like the book that you just talked about with Tamika. There's a cause and there's a celebrity. There's something attached to it. And then it also sells for the name of the book and the cover. So people don't realize how important it is just not to throw something up in Canva and then you see someone else down the road that has the same thing. So you have to have a killer title that really resonates with the audience you want to reach. And the book cover has to look like you've invested. Even if you didn't invest millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands, you have to make sure that that book cover looks good. Because if you are not a celebrity or with a cause that's just out of this world where people support, you gotta make sure that that title is the right title to fit. So these are the two things that we're working with. And my husband's first book, we did a challenge. We wanted people to give us feedback and we wanted to see what could we raffle off his first book for. And his first book sold for $215. And that was unheard of because we had two separate covers. We had a platinum cover and it had the number one on it. And then we had a gold cover with the red in it. And we numbered it from 2 to 50. So the first book, the platinum book, sold for $215. And then the number 2 through 50, they each sold for $50. So when you're thinking about creativity and how you can create an experience, because people also buy when you give them an experience.
Yeah.
If you just say, hey, this is my product. I saw someone, they wrote a book and they literally, it looked like a telephone book. It looked like they got those oversized staples from Lowe's and just folded over a telephone book. And I said, oh my goodness. I said, you don't understand. If you don't put the time into it, why should anybody want to invest in your book? And it was sitting on the table lopsided. They couldn't even stack them because it looked like they literally folded it over. I said, what are we doing here? I said, there's nothing wrong with asking for help. And there's nothing wrong with doing it right the first time so that you can now say, I put something into this. I really put something into this, emphasizing in how important it is for me to invest in myself, as opposed to throwing it together, say I did a book. Because a lot of people have done books. I saw a book where someone was like, oh, it's $27. Okay, no problem. I buy the book. It looks like a brochure. It had 200 words in it.
Wow. The whole book?
The whole
Oh
book.
my.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
put
Eddie has a question. Eddie said,
Several questions. There's a
okay.
question from
He says, hi, ladies. Hi, Eddie. He said, glad to see the Zoom up. Is it common for authors to use print on demand? Is that an option you provide with the digital creation? And if so, how would it work? And he said, if this has been discussed already, please repeat.
No, not a problem. So print on demand just means that there are companies, and I have relationships with probably about, I want to say almost 50 publishers, because I've been doing this for about 30 years. I've been working with books in terms of helping people. I just got to the place where I was like, oh, don't ask me to read the story if it's not going to be really, put what needs to be in it in it. Print on demand is perfect for people who are self-published because you don't have a whole bunch of boxes sitting in your garage. And with digital, you don't need print on demand for digital because you just have it in a platform where people can download it as they purchase it. So once you have it in a platform, there's tons of platforms that you can do it for self-publishing. There's no better way to get the word out than word of mouth. Love posting, love all that. But when somebody says this movie's good, we all go see it. If someone says this book is good, we all go buy it. So as long as you're properly set up with a platform that delivers digital. Literally, they purchase, they get their receipt, and inside their receipt, there's a link to the book, and then you protect the book. You don't just email people your PDF because now you're taking away the ability for you to resell it. You're not protecting it. So you want every page to be stamped with the email of the person who purchased it. That's why you collect an email. So now the book is stamped, they can't share it. If they want to try to print it, it's not downloadable, but you're protecting your intellectual property, and your intellectual property can make you money in perpetuity. So print on demand is perfect for self-published because if you need 50 copies, you don't have to buy 1,000 to get that 50. If you need 20 copies, you don't have to buy, an exorbitant amount of books and just have them sitting there, especially for people who don't know how to promote their books yet. So yes, print on demand is great, and having a digital product helps when people are just starting out and they may not have the money to print a book or print a good amount of books. Hope I answered the question.
It did. And then his second question is there a minimum number of pages when writing a book?
Great question. If you're going to do less for a first book, I say between 15 and 20,000 words for a first book, because other than that, you're going to have a brochure. You're not going to want to spend money. You could just go to Staples and print out your book at Staples and not have that professional presence that you want. So yes, anywhere between 15, the lowest I've seen, my clients, I forced them to that 15. I'm like, no, let's give these people something, especially if you want to price it properly. Give them something to sink their teeth in. It's like, would you rather have a thin slice of toast, or would you want an English, muffin or a bagel? I want something where I can sink my teeth in. So I'd say anywhere 15 to 20,000 is fine for a good book. That's anywhere from 98 to 120 pages. Not bad at all, because you're going to get used to the process if this is something that you want to do ongoing. I would never say you can do smaller if you're just going to stay digital. If it's self-help and it's digital, you can do smaller. I would say for a short read, don't go less than 1,000 words. That's a short read. That's even on Amazon has short reads. But why not give people meat? Now, if you're going to do a collection of short stories and you're, 1,000 to 1,500 words and you're giving them 10 stories, that's fine, because that's 15,000 right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Mhm.
Very good. Any other questions? Great questions, Eddie. Thank you.
Yeah, Tony had a question. He said he's completed a manuscript. He thinks it's a good story. However, he thinks there's something missing. And he says, could he run this through the AI accelerator for enhancement?
He can, and I would love to know what genre, because certain stories need certain formats in order to pull in the people who love that genre. So
Mm.
is it a hero story? Is this a three-act play story? Is that structure? Are there story art? Like, I would love to know who is he writing for and what kind of a book is writing. So if he can throw that in there, that would be good, because it helps to know, there's a mindset for horror, there's a mindset for romance, guy gets the girl, there's a mindset for nonfiction. Who are we writing about? So if you're writing something that's nonfiction, let's say you're doing a story, maybe your grandmother told you about the day that she met Dr. Martin Luther King. So now it's coming from what, first person or third person? It's coming from third person. It's narrative. So you have to write that way. You have to understand, how are you writing and who are you writing for? So yes, I would say, make sure that if you have a story, what is the structure that you followed. And structures, listen, rules are made to be broken. Rules are made to be broken. You're not stuck. But I'm just saying, if it's romance, it's let's say it's mystery. There's still some things that you want. You want to feel like, if it's mystery, that it feels mysterious. If it's horror, you want to be like looking behind. You want that feeling. You want to make sure that you're pulling people into the story because you are on track with the genre that you say you're writing about.
Tony, go ahead and put that additional information in there if you don't mind. While Tony's doing that, I've got a question. So I'm a very private person, right? I know people wouldn't believe that because I come on here and tell all y'all my business, right? But I am really a very, very private person. And there are several stories in me. I've actually attempted to write a couple of them. Um, do people still write under like pseudonyms and pen names? Like I would love to write, not like, I know that would hurt with the marketing, right? Because I'd have probably a few thousand people that would be willing to hear more. But because people are private, is that still a thing? I know like that used to be people didn't use their real names. Is that prevalent today?
Yes, and there's two ways to do it. I had a situation where, and I'm going back to 2014, and it was the first time I was encountering that. I had a situation where there was a woman who, her husband, the story was about him and um, their interaction with foster care and some of the things that happened. And her husband, in the situation, did some things that were not correct. And so she wanted to tell the story, but midway, when we were like right in the middle of it, she said, "I can't do this." She said, "The people in our town know who he is, and I feel like it would expose him." And I said, "Well, you can write under a different name and then write it like a novel." So now, not only is it under a different name, and not only have you taken the story and wrote it like a novel, so it's almost like it's not you or the person that's writing the book, but you're still getting the story out. Because sometimes when a story is lodged in you, you feel stuck, like you really want to get it out, but it's sitting there, it's on your chest, it's like having a brick there. So
Yeah.
yes, pseudo names. I got 3 books, I want to say maybe about 4 months ago, 3 books, and the person told me, they're like, "Listen, I'm sending you my books. When you see the name on the cover, that's me. I just don't want to write, I just don't want to write." So people are still doing it, and there's nothing wrong with it, because I would prefer for a person to write from a scar, which means it's healed, than a wound where now they're triggering other people.
Mm.
I would prefer that, because then if you're in a position where, or in that mental space where you've done some processing, you've done some healing, so now you're telling the story, but not just to cause uh, additional trauma to other people who may not have gotten through that, or gone on the healing process, or gone through any kind of therapy or anything like that. So
No,
yes,
that's
pseudo names, I say yes, because I think it helps people to feel freer about what they're writing, because they want to write it anyway. Yeah, yeah, I say
Yeah,
that.
no, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, I always think about, here on the 10K project, people know me as an entrepreneur and as an investor and as, right, a person who brings people together. But there's a whole nother Tawana, right?
Right, yes,
Uh,
right.
no, another me, y'all.
There
And,
you go.
and I've got some stuff to say. So that's good.
And it's
Very
fun.
good.
I've written under a pseudonym before. I've written several books, and it was fun to just write. Again, it didn't have to, it was a story. And I always tell people, they're like, "Is it true?" And I'm like, it's a story.
There
You
you
don't know what part is my life and what part isn't, because
go.
I wrote the story. Yes.
Exactly. No, I love that. And I think, again, it gives people freedom. You don't
It,
feel stuck. You don't feel like you're exposing something that you don't want people to know it's you, but you still want to tell the story. And there are people who are like, "Well, if I tell this story, I'm going to hurt this person." And that, listen, it's called a novel. Write it like a novella or a novel, and put those elements in there. And then, wrap some other characters around it, so that you can still get the freedom, have the freedom to tell the story, but not feel stuck like you can't say anything. Tell the story.
Love it. Tell the story. I
Tell
love it.
the
I
story.
love it. So,
Yeah.
Talisha, you put all of the links in
yes.
our chat here in the live. We are also going to email this session for those of you who are watching live. We will email this to those of you who are 10K Project members and on the mailing list so that you can see it from the beginning. And then we'll also have it on the YouTube channel where you'll have all the links. I would love, though, Monique, just because so many people are visual, can you go back to your last slide and just show them everything and that whole process again, just so that they can recall it and remember it, because we want them to use it. And while you're doing that, Derek says, I love this live. I've written a children's book, looking for an illustrator now. I would like to write about my life. I
I
love
love
that.
that. I love that. So let me share my screen. I'll go back a few slides. I'll share my screen. And let me know when you can see that.
Coming up now. Yes, right there.
Okay.
There you go.
And I'm putting it full screen so that you can see the whole thing. All right, here we go. Awesome. All right, so we go to, we move to the last slide. There we go. So we talked about, again, writing 10 times faster, publishing and understanding the whole process and having someone to hold your hand. And there's some people who are like, no, I got this. But you know what? It feels good. If, again, for the people who don't know who I am a 45-time nominated playwright. I've literally sold out the world famous Apollo Theater 5 times with my stories. I'm receiving my 27th award. And I'm the only person that's won 3 awards in Shelley Garrett's name. If you don't know who Shelley Garrett is, I'm sure you know his work. He wrote Beauty Shop, the first playwright to ever make $34 million from one story. So I have been in this game for a long time, and I've had the opportunity to work with some amazing people. I have one author that has done 18 books with me. I have one that's done 7. I have one that's done 10. I have a few people that have done 2 and 3. So when it comes to children's books, I can show you how to use AI to create the characters. So now you're not waiting on an illustrator and as a matter of fact, I do have a slide I can go back to and I can show you. Let me go back a few slides. The person that I helped to actually do her book and use some digital characters. Go back to the beginning. I'll go back, and this is a little faster. Let me do it this way, really quick. So we did some of her illustration. Computer's going slow. It could be that time where the computer's just like, no, we're not doing this. It's technology. It's just one of those things. But literally, I helped her. She's done 5 children's books with me. And the first illustrator that we worked with, he was amazing, but he was based in the UK. So being that he was in the UK, the time difference. So she had to wait for things. And in waiting for things, it took a little bit longer. But when I started helping her, this book right here, when I started helping her with her characters, she was able to understand how to use AI to prompt it in order to do it. So Madrina and Jose's Magical Adventure, I did all of the illustration. And the thing about it is that if you have someone create it for you, then it's a work for hire. So you own it. If you do it with AI, what you do is you copyright the words and people understand, okay, the words are mine and I used AI for it. It's not a big deal because you still can sell the book. It's just that you're not taking credit for it. But there's going to come a time where you are able to take the credit for it because you will be completely responsible for the prompts that you put in. And so it will be yours. But yeah, until they've worked that out, listen, I tell them, do what you know to do and make it right. And when it all catches up, they'll be able to have the rules, the laws, the regulations. But right now, a lot of times on social media, you'll see people do videos and they're using AI, but they're using it where the prompt and the information is theirs. It doesn't belong to anybody else. And so you can say, no, this was my information. Now, again, there are people who write books and they literally don't necessarily, what's the word? Like they don't vet the information to make sure that the human element is a lot stronger and higher than the AI element. Again, remember I said there's AI and there's OI. You want to use AI, but you want to make sure that OI is in the forefront, which is organic intelligence, or HI, human intelligence. So my screen, I'll come out of this. I'll go back to the last slide. Let me come out of that. Can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
perfect. I'm going to slide over to the slide that I was at. Okay, here we go. Is it too small, or is that good? Can you see it?
I can see it, but if somebody's on their phone, they may not be able to capture it, but I can see it well.
Okay, let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger then. Okay, there we go. All right, so this is just for 10K. If you catch me in those streets, this is not the price. The price in those streets outside of 10K is the verses. 10K, bronze, silver, gold, platinum. That on the right, that's the 10K price. And this is good. I'm letting people know this is good. Today is the 8th, so this is good until Friday. The links are live and it's good until Friday. So digital, 1997, and for the physical softback book is 29.97. And of course, there are packages that I have that include your books, and then there are packages that include your launch. So we can talk about that as well. You can email me and you can put Author AI Accelerator. I'm going to be doing more mini master classes. The last ones were so good, and I was so excited about the outcome. So I would love to. I called Tawana and Talisha and I was like, listen, this is what I'm doing. And they said, well, we got our folks. So I would love to help you with that. And again, it's 1997 for the digital for 10K project. And for the silver package, it's $29.97 for the softback book. And this $29.97 package comes with your first 10 books. And it's an opportunity for those who are using ChatGPT, or even people who have written books. I've done whole rewrites with books, whole rewrites where people are like, what do you think? I have a little small fee for evaluation, and I go through the whole thing and I talk about, where there might be some holes or inconsistency or redundancy. I really go through that whole process because as a playwright as well, I always visualize. And as a filmmaker, I have a degree in directing. As a filmmaker and a playwright, I always visualize a person's book. I always look to see how would this look on the big screen. I have 7 films under my belt, as well as 250 on and off Broadway live productions. So a book to me, outside of self-help, which I understand, the whole concept of that, and case studies really help to bring the stories alive. But when you're writing for children, if you're writing an autobiography, if you're writing a devotion, I always visualize what that means to the audience. So this is something that I really, 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 words are like music to me. So if you read something to me, I can tell you where the note went flat or where you needed to come up on the register, or, just how music is. And so I'm really, really, really attuned to that. My ears are attuned to reading and listening. So these are the packages. Again, the right side is for 10K. The left side is for those people in those writing streets. If you have a book, a lot of people have written books. If you have a book and you want an evaluation, and maybe it's not selling, maybe you're not targeting the right audience, maybe you're not talking to the right people because you don't know how to market the book or how to promote it or how to bring awareness. Those are different packages. They're not presented here, but this is what I have for the 10K project, because I absolutely love Tawana and Talisha, and I really want to make sure that I'm tapping in and allowing people to know that a book can take you to your next speaking engagement. Your book can take you to your next course that can now bring your price point up higher. Books are the starting point. It gives you a package that you can build from. And so if you're able to do that, that's what I would love to help as many people as possible with. So if you want to join the AI Accelerator, the Author AI Accelerator, tap in with me. Friday for the price point is the deadline. And I do have next week, Wednesday, the next class is starting. And I'm looking at it like this. If I have a nice influx of people, we can do it virtual. But for people who are based in Florida or Georgia or South Carolina, if you want to come to me, and actually us sit together and really map out what this book is, I am interested in something like that as well, because we've been doing it now for a while. So, yep, that is the goal right there. That is the goal.
I love it. Thank you so much for the 10K project discount. Absolutely love that. I'm so excited for the community members that are going to take advantage of this. We've got a couple more questions and comments. So Tracy was responding to my question about the pen name, and she said that Stacey Abrams, who ran for Georgia governor, goes by
Yes,
Selena Montgomery.
absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of people don't know that, but yes,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
And then Tuseda said, she said, yes, I plan to watch from the beginning. So much good info. And I definitely have like 3 books sitting on my chest right now.
Absolutely.
Time for those to
Absolutely.
come off of your chest, Tuseda.
It's
It's
time to
time.
breathe again.
It is
It is
time.
time to breathe again. Yes, get those out there. And, some people have books that are so powerful. What they don't understand is that that's that one book that someone's waiting on to catapult them to their next. And so don't sit on it. Don't sit on it. And I was excited that one of my coaches from 4 or 5 years ago, he just did another book launch and he did a 24-hour. And that's where our concepts come from, with showing people how to do that. In 24 hours, he sold 3.3 million books and made $105 million. And it was documented with the Guinness Book of World Records present, because you can't do that without having someone there. So don't think people are not buying books. The devil is a liar. People are
Mhm.
buying books. People love physical books. People love digital books. People love audio books. And to watch this, was amazing because I've seen it. I know what it's like to work with an author and they make 8,000 in one day. I know there's a lot of stories, a lot of stories. I have one particular client who, she said to me when we had finished the whole process, she said, I think I should order 100 books. What do you think? I said, well, if you think 100, then you should do 200. And she said, why? I said, because if you already know what you can do with 100, what about doubling that and watch what happens? 2 days later, someone bought the first 100 without even knowing what the story was about, because they wanted to stuff it in the backpacks, the back to school.
Wow.
So you never know. When you position yourself to do great things happen.
Wow. Eddie said, one more question. How does the time allotment look for someone who participates in the accelerator? Days, times, meetings, etc.
Okay, so it's hours. It's hours. And when I say it's hours, that means that if you start on Wednesday, and whether you're virtual or in person, we spend 4 hours working on the project. And when we look at where you finish for that day, we go to the next day. So that's why I always tell people from 3 to 14 days, it can be done. Now, the people who come and sit with me, they're usually done within 2 to 3 days, because I'm right there. It's like the teacher's there, so you're not going to cut no corners. You're going to do what you got to do. But the people who are home, where they can turn off their camera and a little bit more relaxed, I say that you're gonna get out of it what you put into it. And so we do Zoom and we do live. And again, I have people who love the live portion, because now we get to read. We're reading the story and we're talking about it. I explain, really going into what the Library of Congress is for, or if you want to do the WGA, the Writers Guild of America, just really protecting your story, and then also sharing it with like-minded people who are doing the same thing, going on the same journey. So if you have 4 hours, you have 3 hours, whatever you have on that first day, we look to see how much time you need for the second day. And we look to, or we can do it once a week. I'm flexible like that because I have the same clients coming back to me writing more books. So every Wednesday I have a session. So my accelerate AI is a little bit early in the day, but we get it done. We get it done. People who are focused and understand the importance of what they're doing, we get it done. So sessions are 4 hours, they're 90 minutes. It just depends on what you're writing and how much content you come to the table with as well.
And Derek said, I tried AI, but the characters weren't consistent.
Because he didn't know how to do it.
All right. It's like you need an assistant for your assistant.
Yeah, there's specific things that you have to do so that the prompts give you consistent characters. And there's specific software that you have to use. And the reason why I say that is because if you remember when it first when AI first started coming out to the public, you'd have people with six
Oh
fingers,
yeah.
their eyes closed. So it's evolving, it's getting better, but it depends on what you want. When I worked on Madrina and Jose's Magical Adventure, I was very specific. I was specific and I gave all of the information it needed. And every time I didn't get it, I'd go back. So knowing how to train it so it understands that you need consistency, even the background. You know, if we're at the beach, I don't want to see a truck on the beach. You like AI can be crazy. It can be crazy. But you, but if you know how to do it, yes, you didn't get consistent characters because there are certain things and certain software. It's not always ChatGPT. There's other software, and there's millions out there. So now people are like, oh, I get confused. Now I like to do tried and true. Tried and true means that I've used this enough time to know that it's gonna be good for this, but now I have to go to something else for that. And even if you have subscriptions, use a subscription for 30 days and then cancel it. You know, you're not locked into anything. You know, use it, use the free version. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Any more questions?
Any more questions before we let Monique go? Well, thank you guys for coming to hang out with us. Like I said when I started, you know, the summer is over, so we're back. Talisha and I will, you know, we'll do a couple of sessions here or there because we're still just kind of taking it easy, right? That work-life balance is at the forefront of our lives right now. So we
Right.
cannot forget about this community that we love so much. And so Monique, thank you so much for your time and for thinking about us as a community to come and share this. You know, I'm always so interested in how we can help people
That's
pull
right.
out all of those amazing things that's inside of them, whether it's a business opportunity or you know, an idea like this and now a book to you know, to see the questions that we had and to hear that there are so many people in this community that are thinking about writing a book and that feel like they have a book in their heart and that are already writing them. That makes me know that this was exactly what we needed to do today. And we are not here by mistake, right? Those of you who popped in the live, you didn't do that because you don't have anything else to do today, right? Because I know you do. But we're meant to be here in this moment together so that we can live our purpose. And I love when Monique said, you know, the book we have inside of us is really for someone else sometimes too, not
Mhm.
necessarily just a story that we should be keeping to ourselves. So, and I believe that the one I have in my heart, I know that book can save marriages. It can save
Mhm.
some sanity. It can let people know that it's okay to be completely who you were meant to be unapologetically. Um, and so this session tonight is sitting on my heart heavy because
Mhm.
maybe I do need to put that story out there. And maybe I do need to be brave enough and put my damn name on it too, right? Because it's my story, right? And so
I'm telling
this
you.
session was amazingly helpful for me. I feel my mindset shifting as
Good.
the moments pass. So thank you for that. And
Yeah.
I hope others that watch this when they get it in their email box, I hope they also are moved to release that story and enlist your help. You guys have Friday for that 10K project discount. But she's not going anywhere. So, right, if you don't make Friday, you saw what the versus price was. She'll still be there to help you. If you know, like I know, you better get that price that was on the left. So,
As I'm saying.
but thank you so much, my dear. Talisha, did you have any last things you wanted to
I
say
just
or
wanted to
questions
thank
you
her
had?
as well. Just thank you so much for thinking of us and bringing this wonderful opportunity. I do think people need to learn that the tool is there, and sometimes it only takes just that tool and support will really bring you to the next level. And it's just step into bravery and do and tell your story because it does need to be told.
Talisha, you want to write a book with me about friendship? I'd love to write a book with you about friendship because I love you so much.
Oh.
You could do whatever you want to do, Mr. Wong.
I love it.
I always just say yes. That's probably why she loves me, because I always just say yes.
I love it. And you can do a 10K anthology.
Yes, that's what I always say. I'd like anthologies. I'm an anthology girl. I've written 3 thus far. So that always, it's just like, pick a theme and then people contribute the story. That's always a nice way. And people really seem
way.
to get different things from that. And I know every time I've written one, it's always like when I read the other people's story, even though it's the same topic, it's amazing what people come up with.
Yeah. So I did just participate in an anthology.
Mm.
Um, it was interesting because I didn't feel like first of all, I didn't feel like I should even have been among the people that were in the anthology. I was like,
That's a
you invite
mindset.
me, let alone me, like
Yeah. Write your story. You can no one can write your story but you.
but me, right? And so I shared a part of my story because again, I'm extremely private. I shared a part of my story that I felt like a single mom. That 20-year-old Tawana, I felt like that was something I wanted to share for the reader who was a single mom, just starting out, just still trying to really figure out how to make it all balance out. And so I felt comfortable sharing that part of my story because I knew that part of my life would help someone. Um, but I struggled. I struggled to share. I struggled to like how much do you really tell? Like, how much of the struggle, like people know, like we've all kind of struggled.
Right.
Many of us, I won't say we all, many of us have struggled, right? We are just, this is not where we started, right? Let's just be clear. And
Right.
I think you know that about most people, right? But to hear it and to share it, I was like, okay, how much of this background story do I really want people to know? And I feel like I shared enough that I was comfortable with and that would still be helpful. But it was difficult. But it was very, very difficult to open up in a way. So I love that it was only, I think I had to write like 500 words or something like that, 600 words.
Mhm.
And it was interesting. I don't know that I would do that again. I don't know.
It's therapeutic.
It is. I mean,
It's
you're
very
better off for it.
therapeutic.
And you can now say you've done it. Like there is a difference between being hesitant and saying, "Ooh, I wish."
Mhm,
You have
mhm.
done it now. So there is a difference. You are an author,
Right.
and that
I feel like this
changes
is
how
going to
you
be a
go.
therapy session. Here's my problem. And I kind of hinted to it before. Like, I don't want to be in that box that you talked about, right? I don't want to be in the box. There's so many layers to who I am. And like doing the 10K project, I think people only see one version of me. And she is not the greatest part of me. And so I struggle a little bit with what story do you tell, right? Because the people know you for one thing, and that's this part, that's this much of who I am, right? The other parts of me are so much more intriguing, so
Mhm.
much
But
more
that's how you
amazing.
write more books. I mean,
Um,
you just write different parts. Like I wrote
mm,
a book about my birth story. So that's about me. That's personal, right? My birth story. And I was like, again, people birth babies all the time. I just happened to birth mine at home.
in the
Happened to
bathroom,
be a
right?
founder. And I didn't think that would mean anything, but a lot of people were like, oh my God, you did
Yeah.
what? With who? And there were a lot of women who talked about their trauma of
Mhm.
birthing their baby. And see, I didn't think about it that way, but they're like, I
Mm.
framed it differently. But then it reached me like, oh, okay, that could be that way. Then I talked about professional. I talked about how I started my first business. And that was a whole
Mhm.
nother book that had
Yeah.
nothing to do with me being a mother. It just said, how did I start my scope scribe business? And
Mhm.
then my next book was erotica. So I always call it, it's like professional, personal and porn. Like it was all across the
There you
board.
go. There you
And
go.
it is. It's just it's factions of me, but that I'm
Mhm.
telling a story at a very specific time with a very specific intent. And it just works. I think that's the whole point. It's
It
crafted to
does. It does. And we're
exist in that moment.
multifaceted, but we're multifaceted. And so for us to allow anyone to put us in a box, you have to have my permission.
Mm.
And if you have my permission, then there's nothing I can do when I feel like my voice is silenced. But if you can see all of the layers that I'm willing to share at any given time, or when I decide to share that, then I'm giving you pieces of me that I'm saying it's okay. It's okay to open up about this. It's okay for me to do that. And now, if you look at it like an onion, I control as how I peel back the layers. I control that.
I
And if
like
I control that, then yes, you'll hear the birth story. Yes, you hear the business side. Yes, you hear those things. But I'm sharing the narrative in the way that I feel comfortable with. So that's the beauty of it. That box, not only is the box you're busting out of it, you got a box cutter. So
yeah.
now you unravel as you see fit. You can have a back door and then run back in if you feel scared.
Right, right.
Have a way out.
Box is
Right,
yours. The
Yeah,
narrative is
yeah.
yours. So I'm saying it's not even a box.
It's
It's your voice telling the story. So you're in control of the whole entire
Mm.
construction process.
exactly.
It's a snippet, and like everybody understands, it's a snippet in time. That doesn't mean that's the be all end all of you. It's the
Exactly.
book, but it's truly how you are selling the story. And I do think that is the most important. And you spoke about that earlier about how our stories get told by others. And that changes the narrative. That narrative is very, very different. And it truly isn't a true story. It is a fabrication of who we are, or just a very, I would say, an ugly version of always, because it's never told with your words, how you would describe it, how you were feeling. It's always an interpretation that's never in your best interest. So I do think when we tell our stories, even if they are those snippets, it's my words. So I'm confident. I'm always going to be comfortable. If I told you, yep, I can tell you good, bad, and ugly about me. You're not hearing it third party.
Right, right. And someone's interpretation
Of
as a
me.
third party, right?
Mhm.
And I just saw a commercial with Sarah Rector, the 9-year-old who became a millionaire, which technically was a billionaire, young African American girl. And now the movie that they have out, it's so whitewashed,
It's
so
not
far
her.
from the story,
Mhm.
because there was no one to document that looked like her. And there's that's the history that they want to tell of us. It's a whitewashed history that has nothing to do with our true struggle. And then to hear someone say that, someone said, I'll say it that way, that during slavery slaves were happy. Who told that story? Like who is giving you that information? How do you know that?
right.
So that is why it's important for us to do it. And I had the honor 2 weeks ago of meeting the great great grandson of Booker T. Washington, and the great great grandnephew of Frederick Douglass. Now, how does that happen?
Ooh, wow.
Literally, how does that happen? And when he told the story, I was so drawn in. How are you related to those two people? Both were by marriage, but how are you related to both of those great, amazing men? And then now you're telling me the story firsthand,
Mm.
of going to the house. And that's the beauty of telling our own stories. We don't have to get whitewashed information, and we don't have to get information that's not accurate to what really happened or who the person really was. Yeah.
Mm.
True.
So, yeah.
I feel like I need to give y'all a copay after tonight.
It's necessary. I like reading and I love writing. And
Love
so
it. Love it.
This
it's a
was
wonderful thing.
wonderful.
Love it. Thank you so much, ladies. I appreciate you both.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Yes, thank
We
you
love
so
you
much, and
all. Thank you so much.
have a
Oh,
wonderful evening.
yes.
Good night.
All right. Mwah. Peace
Good
and
night.
blessings, everyone.